Welcome to Ultiworld Disc Golf's coverage of the 2020 MVP Open presented by MVP Disc Sports. We're in beautiful Leicester, Massachusetts at the fantastic Maple Hill Disc Golf Course. I'm Charlie Eisenhood alongside Andrew Fish, three-time top 25 finisher at the PDGA Pro Worlds. Fish, how are you?
Hey, what's good, Charlie?
I'm excited for this round as we get a look at our card. There was Fish, Jason Clark here, playing at his first Pro Tour event, along with Christian Foster. And finally, Jack Hatchett. And all three of these guys won a USA Ultimate National Championship together on Boston Ironside. We'll talk about that a little bit more later on. Off we go. Hole one, Maple Hill.
Yeah, so hole one is just an in-your-face, immediate, difficult, challenging shot. There was a little bit of a headwind today, so the objective, clear the pond, and then work your way into this protected green. Par is a really good score. Birdie is takes something special, I think.
One of the most intimidating and beautiful shots to start a tournament on tour. Fish with the backhand.
Yeah, so first shot into the headwind. I'm just going to play it safe over to the left side. That's more of a four look.
Jack Hatchett.
And you could feel the nerves before for these three guys who never played in a Pro Tour before. Jack Hatchett's backhand, a little right.
Yeah, that's a tough spot. It's inbounds, but that's about the nicest thing to say about it. Jay's going to go destroyer here. You see that flip and ride into the headwind. Nice angle, good carry, but not quite high enough. So he'll end up at the drop zone.
Just a little too low, ends up out of bounds. Foster, one of the best polars in Ultimate, showing off the power here, but he is a little far to the right.
Yeah, he got his to flip back, or to flex back. Jack's didn't quite do that. Here's Jay from the drop zone. And at this point, he needs to be in damage control mode. There's no real way to save his par. He just needs to put himself in a good spot for an upshot.
So he's just outside the green there.
I remember Jack deliberating over this for quite a while. He's going to leave it too far right, almost push that back wall of the out of bounds, which is very out of position now.
We'll see where he ends up. Foster with the forehand. Goes past the gap to the green. So, Fish, as you throw your second shot here, this has got to be a unique experience for you to play on a card with three other Ultimate players. Have you ever had a tournament round like this before?
No. I've been on several feature cards, but nothing that was set up quite like this as almost a novelty.
Indeed. I contacted the Disc Golf Pro Tour to see if it was possible, and thanks to them and the folks at MVP, said sure, and we got four Ultimate players together on a card. One professional and three guys who've been playing for a while, but haven't, of course, played in a Pro Tour event before, and a tough shot there from Clark.
Yeah. He was between a couple discs, and he made the mistake of not getting it over. Like, you really want to hit the ground at the basket and just skid to the back wall.
So he ends up out of bounds. That's his second OB stroke on this hole. Jack Hatchett, tough gap through the trees here, but he's got a lane.
Yeah, you see just how obstructed that is, which is why it's really important to line yourself up with the true gap.
Right here.
And he's just back from where he just threw, taking the out-of-bounds stroke. So this for bogey. At that time, he makes it safe, but he'll be putting for double bogey. Here's Foster for par.
I think one theme we're going to see throughout this is these guys know what they're doing with a frisbee. They're talented. They can spin it well, but there's still some some kinks to iron out. The putting isn't rock solid. There's just some unforced errors. And that's true of like any developmental disc golfer. It's just that many ultimate players are coming in with a higher like base threshold of understanding.
So Fish takes the par. Foster bogey and Clark and Hatchett take double bogey. So a little bit of a bumpy start for the ultimate players on hole 1, but nothing that can't be overcome as we head to hole 2.
Yeah, hole 2. They say it's 350, but it's going to play a lot longer than that. You need to get something moving a little bit left to right, but not too right because there's a OB rock wall to the right side. We're going to look to see fairway or distance drivers thrown pretty hard and flat here.
Smooth line from Fish, starting to flex. And flirting with the rock wall, but safe. And that's maybe inside circle 1.
Yeah, going to get to 25, 28 feet. Christian, I like the power, but not quite the commitment to turn it.
It's got to be difficult looking at that out of bounds and really not wanting to miss too far right.
Yeah, no doubt. It feels like an unnecessary stroke as we see Jack kind of overcorrect on that. And it's clear that Jay is afraid of that. We played several practice rounds together, and they were talking about just the reward of getting it over is much better than the potential for a lost stroke, as Jay just has to manufacture an upshot.
Foster again with the forehand upshot. Right to the basket. Jack trying to save par here, but it's a pretty long way, and he won't come close. And now he's got a little work to do on his 4th shot.
Yeah.
All right, Fish, your first birdie putt of the day. How you feeling?
Just breaking that seal is huge. It's enough of a tester that it feels like positive momentum. Great scramble there by Jay. And it's really huge just to get a good solid birdie or par out here, because every hole has teeth.
I mean, there's really a way to make a mistake on every hole. I mean, that's what makes it a great course. Fish with the first birdie of the day. 2-stroke lead on the card. On to hole 3.
Hole 3, playing sort of like an island. You need to make it over this rock wall, and the distance and then the upslope really forces you to, play for a 3 with a fairway driver or go aggressive with a distance driver. Try to get a flex line. You're not going to see this birdied a whole lot. So avoid the big number is a huge key here. You can hear this wind swirling. And I'm trying to get a force over. I like the shape, but I just never pushed it right enough and don't pay for it at all.
It sneaks through. And you'll be putting. I mean, this 410-foot par 3 through the woods like this, you just don't see holes like this on most courses.
No, this isn't your garden variety park style course.
Absolutely not. Clark a little left, and he gets the unlucky tree kick. And that's how it goes sometimes. Too high from Jack Hatchett. And is he safe?
No, he ended up about a foot out of bounds, so that sends him to this drop zone, which is pretty playable.
A nice up from Jack.
Jay's very left side. This is a demanding shape because he needs it to carry left almost the entire shot, and he got to circle 1.
Big skip, but stands up.
Yeah, that's temporarily in circle 1.
I mean, part of that's the angle of that he had to throw that disc. He was
right.
going to skip like that.
The only way to get it flatter would be a much more technical shot with a flippier disc. Nice little half run by Sifo, but stays right by the basket.
Clark to save par. Just off the cage, but this time it stays. So he'll have a tap in there for bogey.
Same
Back-to-back
kind of
birdies.
distance, yeah.
Hatchett gets the bogey.
And that's good for him. You know, he made only one bad shot during that, but it cost him 2 strokes.
And the rest of the guys will tap out. Foster, nice comfortable 3. And back-to-back birds for Fish. That's a pretty good start on this course, tell you what.
Yeah. I would say anything under par is respectable, and if you can take 1 or 2 out of every 3 holes, you're gonna end up in a great spot for the tournament. Hole 4 is a very tight downhill shot, and once you get through this gap, you almost have to put the brakes on immediately. It's so short that everyone's throwing a putter or something to stop before that wall. I go thumber because I'm just terrified of having it chain high and never seeing the disc again.
So that flexes through the trees and bounces down to the basket, and you're parked.
Terrible. I cannot believe that worked.
No, that was amazing. You've been practicing that. Every time.
This is awful.
That guy hits the gap every time. Makes me want to do it.
Well, you've got some good tree luck going for you right now.
Yeah, but that's unsustainable. You definitely don't want to count on that for a full tournament.
Simple flat putter shot here from Foster.
Yeah, that's nicely done. That wood pile is just about circle's edge, so it's kind of a nice backboard if you can get it over late.
And Clark hits the first tree off the tee. Tough start.
Nice release from Jack. He's going to get it to the left side and to circle's edge. So Jay, Jack, and Christian have all been, they're familiar with the Boston area. They live near here, so they were playing this course regularly for several months beforehand, trying to simulate what a tournament would be like. And, it made them comfortable, but I think it's still difficult to capture what it's like with the pacing and the felt pressure of a tournament.
Well, I have to say, filming my first tournament ever, I was surprised by the pace. It was very brisk. You're just going through, because if you don't have backups, it's shot. I felt like I was running all over the place.
Yeah, for sure. I think you've also got 4 players who don't want or need time between their own shots.
Foster just missing on the par putt. Jack taps in. And you still haven't even had to putt yet. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, that's kind of the dream.
And Foster takes the bogey. There's that thumber once again. So you got the turkey going. 3 straight birds.
Yeah. On a couple of those could have turned out differently, but I'm not giving them back now. Hole 5, you got 2 choices. Most folks are going to take the over water route, which is either a forehand or some kind of backhand turnover. You see that 90% of this fairway is wet, so you have to get back over this wall, and then the basket is raised. That adds just a little bit of extra indecision as you get toward the green. So I'm going to go Comet turnover. My entire strategy here is get it in bounds, and then we'll figure it out from there.
You're inside the circle. I don't think I've ever seen anybody throw this hole land side.
I've done it before when it was really windy and wet conditions. But even doing that doesn't guarantee a safe par, because the trees just don't line up well as you approach this long pin.
That's my spot. I think I went past my spot, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hatchett just a touch long. He's circle's edge. Foster looking forehand as well. I think this is one area where Ultimate players transitioning to disc golf do have an advantage, perhaps, over a regular new player, as Foster unfortunately hits the tree and goes into the water, is that having a forehand, having a feel for throwing a forehand and when you come into the sport. But as I say that, we see back-to-back out-of-bounds throws with the forehand.
Yeah, I think the power and spin that these guys have is obvious. But there's definitely some nuances in nose angle and in like the inside out, outside in release angles that golf discs want versus an Ultra Star.
Absolutely. I think it's a harder transition to throwing forehands, but you already have the mechanics to be able to do it. You just have to relearn the release point and the angle.
Right, for sure. And the same is true of backhand. It just seems to be more apparent with forehands, I think, because it's a very arm dominant throw.
Right. Hatchett chaining out on his birdie putt, but no problem for Andrew Fish as he makes it 4 in a row. That is a great start here on this Maple Hill course. I mean, I don't think anybody's at the whole tournament birdied 5 straight off the holes 1 through 5.
It's difficult to. Like, you're really having to string together a lot of good shots. But, you know, mentality-wise, I wasn't thinking I was going to get these, but now it's really critical to not get sucked into realizing, oh my goodness, I'm 4 down, and just being, like, too elated by that.
Right. Off to hole 6, par 3.
Yeah, hole 6 might be the most difficult par 3 on the course. You've got a very straight line that has water left and OB rock wall right. And if you're trying to birdie it, you need to have either a very late turn with a backhand or a forehand that's still carrying pretty much straight. Circle 2 doesn't necessarily mean that you're out of the woods yet, so to speak.
It's hard to overstate just how, like, this is such a tight gap and a long way to go. And
Yeah,
that is thrown dead straight. And maybe you want it a little further,
Don't care.
but that's pretty good.
I'm playing with a mid-range Comet there. I don't think I really have a valid play for a 2 that doesn't involve a long putt. As we see Jack kick over to the right side. He is safe, but in a difficult spot. So, Charlie, you were talking about the pacing of a tournament. This is and filming. This is also your first time at Maple Hill. Were you prepared for, you know, how tight and intimidating some of these gaps can be?
Absolutely not. No, I mean, it's one thing to have the tight gap, but then to have it on a really long par 3. I mean, again, it's just not the kind of hole that you see really anywhere.
All right.
And
comment once I'm
I
done.
think it show you see as we go through this whole 18 that there's sort of there's a demand to make every shot in the bag, and I think that's something that's very cool about Maple Hill.
Yeah. So Jay's gonna try to take out his Firebird. And
He's just finding every tree right now.
He is. He might have been a little too aggressive there from kind of a weird stance with a difficult... I don't know if he's going to be able to save 3 from where he had started. And now he's lying 3 and still well back on the fairway.
He's safe. He's probably just outside circle 1 from there.
Yeah, great shot by Jack.
Try to slide that up to the basket. He's got a
Yeah,
little bit of
that's-
work left to do, but a nice shot from Clark.
And inbounds, but just kind of trapped over here. There's not really a good shape or angle that's simple. So Christian does a good job to get a forehand, probably near circle's edge.
Forehand. Catches the top of the cage and just misses. Did you think you had it?
Yeah. Just like kind of feeling, you can see me tossing the disc. I was just like trying to make it a brick and just lob it in there. You know, I was talking about like the mentality of being 4 down through 5. I kind of felt like I could do no wrong, so why not try for that? Honorable bid from Jack. Yeah, he was just kind of pinned out there.
Foster to save par. And just misses right again. I mean, he had some putting woes early in this round.
Yeah, I think Christian is a very, very good thrower, and that's true in Ultimate as well. He's a strong handler, and maybe his greatest asset is like how fearless he is. You'll see that on many of these shots that he just doesn't care about consequences. But he has not yet figured out putting. I know. I've heard that he's reworked it at least twice since this tournament.
Yeah, I mean he's got a lot of talent, and we'll see it on some, especially on some of the longer holes.
Right.
Hatchett has to tap in for double bogey, frustrating for him, I'm sure. So Fish at 4 down, got an 8-stroke lead on the card just like that, and shows you how tough it is. I mean, these are 3 mid 900s rated players. They're good, but Maple Hill is relentless.
Yeah. It's very clear that it was designed with the intent to separate the elite players. Hole 7, just going to continue this trend. You need a shot that carries long and straight and uphill. This is a bonus birdie even for some of the best in the game. With just the tightness of the line, and there's not really a way to access the basket without kind of getting lucky. You need to play off to the left and then take a long circle's edge putt.
So light hyzer flip, but catches a tree, but you bounce out into the middle of the fairway.
Yeah, I would say I got kind of a fortunate break. Christian's going to put himself in the fairway as well. It's not always this generous. Jack kind of follows me to the left side.
Friendly bounces for everybody so far. Clark rocking the Brute Squad hat. Almost snuck through on that left side, but he catches a tree as well, and he's in the right woods.
So from well back here, the idea is throw a forehand that flexes to the left, which he did nicely, but he didn't push it quite left enough. And that's going to leave him in circle 2. Christian's got to follow that same kind of line. And I think if he had thrown that a little bit flatter instead of nose up, it had good potential. I see a bad idea and sign up.
So down the hill. Were you trying to go to the right of that tree? I assume not.
Absolutely not. I definitely wanted to play up this road to the widest gap possible, and then if I had to make a 20-footer, I'd make a 20-footer. Sawing it off was not in the game plan.
So Hatchett again facing a really long, sort of, not even quite a putt, just a prayer.
He nearly willed it in somehow.
About 45 feet. Again, misses right.
And I love that even though he's struggling with his putting a little bit, he's still shooting. And that's kind of critical as a developing player. Like, you need to have the courage to just kind of go for the things that you're capable of, even if it's scary, even if it
maybe
like
costs you a stroke, right?
Yeah, these guys aren't here with the idea of cashing. Like, maybe if everything goes right, they can. So, like, go have fun. Go test yourself.
For par, off the band. This time, Foster finds the middle of the chains. Hatchett saves his bogey as well. But for the most part, we haven't really seen, other than you, Fish, any of these guys hit a putt outside of about 20 feet. So, some work to do. The lead is 9.
And we're going to go on to the signature hole 8. You've probably seen this in some ace videos. Again, we're carrying over pretty much 90% water. You'd look to see a mid-range out of most players. You need to carry the water, otherwise you end up going to a drop zone. And there's OB long as well. There wasn't a whole lot of wind today. So looking to go mid-range, hang it out to the right, and draw it back in towards the basket late.
All right, coming back. Finds land and about at circle's edge.
Yeah, just flat and just push it there.
Flat and push it there.
Of the water holes,
Too much.
how intimidating is this one?
I would say, so there's 3 real water carries on the course. This one is the most simple and straightforward because you're looking right at the basket. You can throw whatever shot is most comfortable for you at this distance.
Skinniest piece of land you can get on.
Christian squeaks into, I don't know, like the last yard available.
The very far left peninsula.
Jack's
Gets it
going
out
nice
wide,
and high here.
and that perfectly hits the tree. He's got about 15 feet for birdie.
You see that Christian and Jack and I all gave our shots height. There's some kind of vortex here that just drop shots out of the sky if they're close to the water.
Get me out of it.
Clark finds the Bermuda Triangle at Maple Hill, and he has to go to the drop zone. Nice shot.
Yeah, this drop zone is kind of hard because, like, you don't want to be putting back at the water for your 4 or something. So there's a lot of incentive just to try to stick it right at the basket, which brings the edge of water into play again.
And a little balancing act as you can the birdie to move to 5 under.
Loving this. Just kind of, if I'm making my putts at circle's edge, it leaves a lot of latitude for the tee shots and stuff. Jay's going to use the absolute minimum amount of power.
It sneaks in, barely touching chains. Hatchet for birdie. And there it is.
Got to brag on Jack. He ended up birdieing this all 3 rounds. So
How we doing on
if we just played this hole for the entire tournament, maybe he'd be
Dominating.
Maybe he'd be leading. Yeah.
So there's the first birdie on the ultimate cards. Jack Hatchett with a nice tee shot setting up the 2. On we go to hole number 9.
Yeah, hole 9. Short par 4, but you can't do a whole lot off the tee. Gonna look to go up and over this hill and move to the right a little bit late. And then we get to a green that's, I guess in theory connected to other land, but you need to go over a little bit of water and then elevated basket right at the water's edge. Break this into parts and don't... You got to get off the tee clean in order to give yourself a chance.
And that sneaks through the right side, and you're in perfect position for the second shot. Hatchet going backhand as well. Needs to miss that tree left.
Somehow he plays to the middle of the fairway.
Foster right up to the top of the hill.
That's nicely done. He'll be able to look straight at the basket. And then Jay's going to go Comet at a perfect height just to clear the hill and then start gliding. And I think I remember him being in just kind of an awkward distance he'd never practiced.
Yeah, you're not used to getting that close.
Right.
Hatchet second. Needs to get out of it, but he gets a tree, and so he'll have a putt
Key to success
for
on this horse.
birdie.
Of course. Be strategic with your tree hits.
There you go. Back-to-back
Yeah.
holes. Tree helping out Jack.
The thing I like that Jack did there was he trusted a stable disc and just tried to jam it. The tree kick is fortunate, as Christian just bases the hole. The tree kick is fortunate, but
Big dog's
he
back.
didn't give it any chance of coming up short. He was at least going to be... He wasn't going to take any extra strokes for that. Just going to spin this. And I didn't think that was going to clear after I released it.
Dude, yeah, that was supposed to be landing at the base of the tree, not at the basket.
Well, you're catching some breaks right now, Fish.
Yeah. Like I said, there are no consequences for my actions. So, I'll keep writing this out as long as it lasts.
So Clark with the best drive. Oh, that needs to get down.
And look at
just
that. He ends up safe.
barely safe. He gets the green
Dude, Andrew
flag.
practiced that putt from right there. That is sick.
So here's Jack for birdie. And he bounces it in for 2 in a row. Great way to end the front 9. And Clark catches a branch.
I'm not sure that camera angle did justice to that. We had to, go verify that he was in and give him verify his spot if he wanted it. But there really wasn't a great way to make it through the fingers of the branches and then getting it between trunks.
A very gentle birdie for Christian Foster. So 3 birdies on the card, nearly the star frame, as that brings us to the end of the front 9. Some great golf from you, Fish. You got to be feeling really good heading into the back 9.
Oh, I'm thrilled. I've never done anything like this at Maple Hill. So I need to attack the front. There's a few longer holes on the back that I don't think I can necessarily get. So I did my job so far.
All right,
And, Goon Squad's just trying to hang on, and they've got a little momentum now.
we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with the back 9 here at Maple Hill. Welcome back to Ultiworld Disc Golf's coverage of the MVP Open presented by MVP Disc Sports. Charlie Eisenhood alongside Andrew Fish. Andrew, you're sitting at 6 under through the front 9. Could you imagine it being any better than this?
Oh, good heavens, no. I was envisioning myself getting to 3 or 4 down by the end of the round and feeling pretty good about it. So 6 feels about my ceiling, and now there's some incentive to play steady and not lose anything off of that.
So we enter the back 9 here at hole number 10.
All right, hole 10, very far uphill. It says 380, but I'm thinking you probably need 500 feet of power to get up toward this castle. Some Christmas trees on the right side and then woods on the left side. Getting in this green grass and then pitching yourself up to the bottom of the castle isn't a bad play.
It strikes me that this is an easy 3 and a very difficult 2.
Yeah, this is clearly a separator that benefits the Girthies, the Eagles of the world, who can have this hyzer power on command. I felt good about this, and I'm going to get to circle 2.
From there, you're putting.
Yeah. I would expect Jack and Jay and Christian to all be able to do maybe about the same if they hit it perfectly, but they're not looking for twos unless it's, you know, almost a throw-in.
I know, not in the abyss, it's not. God, this gap is massive.
Christian has a special relationship with that tree immediately behind the shortest
How
tee
long do I have?
pad.
30? Can I wait for this gust to pass?
Did he make friends with it during the practice rounds?
No. Jack.
All too many times. He probably had a, I don't know, 50% conversion rate.
We'll see what he can do here in this massive gap. And he flirts with the tree, but he coming back towards the fairway, but he will be in the Christmas trees on the right side.
No, there's not a lane back there.
So this was definitely a unique card for me in that, you know, most Pro Tour players are friendly and, you know, willing to talk about stuff, but there's never this like outright camaraderie. We all played 4 practice rounds together in the week leading up to this tournament, so this just felt like an extension of that. It made it very easy to, you know, to just be happy about what was going on and comfortable in the space.
Foster wide. Anheuser backhand hits the castle. Probably wanted to get it up on top, but that should putt easily.
There's nothing wrong with being down there. If you go over top, then all of a sudden you could be carrying past and have to make a comeback putt.
Jump putt from Hatchett.
Good up.
It's right there. Did you find that the easygoing nature of this card made it easier for you to play as well as you have been so far?
Oh, undoubtedly. Instead of feeling like I was in a competition, this just felt like an extension of those practice rounds, like I said. You know, I know all these guys reasonably well. I played College Ultimate with Jay. And, you know, we had already played enough together that we already knew kind of what the flavor was going to be like. You see a tentative jump putt by Jay and a very confident putt that exposes the disc to the wind.
To the wind. Well, you had a confident putt as well as we see it again here. Put it in.
Yeah.
Save the par.
Still, that was kind of getting away with murder, having to make another 25-footer after hitting off the wall, which is a big no-no if you're in putting range. Hole 11, par 4, definitely an opportunity to air it out. Kind of the first we've had in several holes. Get yourself to this green space. Right side is definitely preferable. And then you're going to be pushing this gap, tracking back uphill towards it's sort of protected, and then it opens up as you get towards the basket.
You can see from this shot just how big and open this tee shot is. Catching some wind bounce, and that's going to come and land right in the middle of the fairway. Easy for the spotter.
I love that. Jack's going to kind of follow my line, gets it to ride a little bit right, and then flexing back.
Great shot from Jack. And this hole, I think, shows you just how much power these Ultimate players have. Foster with his unique form.
Yeah, nice high release, just like his pull. He's spinning the hell out of that disc. And, like, I should point out here, like, I am a 1025 rated player. I have many good finishes. And these guys who have been playing for 2 years or less are very much keeping up with me in this open field. Like, the baseline skill is apparent.
Yeah. And everybody's right in the middle of the fairway. That upshot's going to leave a little bit to be desired from Clark. The spotter, I just wanted to point this out. The spotter said that's the easiest spotting I've had to do all day. Most people spraying it into the Christmas trees.
That you were going to hear some heckling on this card if you skied it and it went left, or if Jack threw his dark-colored shrike into the trees on the right. So maybe just the peer pressure kept everybody down.
Oh no, the
Just got to miss the tree. And it sneaks through. And it's going to be a putt from there.
It's a putt, but I threw a mid-range. I either should have disked up or really thrown it. I think I kind of just spun it. Jack never gets over on his disc, and it's going to fade out to the jungle on the left.
And parked from Clark. And he is indeed deep in the trees. And we've all been there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So maybe not here specifically, but all of these guys, like I said, they played the course numerous times, so they kind of know what scores they're targeting. And I think the idea was, like, make it through the front 9 at even or up a couple. And it spiraled a little bit, but by and large, they had been able to stable themselves out by the end of it. This is kind of the first sign of trouble from Jack not executing what was a fairly playable upshot.
Here's Jack to save bogey. And maybe the first really nice long-distance putt from one of these guys today.
That's really nice from Jack to save his bogey on a downhill putt. It would be so easy to let that sail one way or miss it low or something.
So 3 pars. Jack takes a bogey after getting stuck in the woods. 10-stroke lead right now for Fish. And at this point, I don't know if you're thinking about it, but you got to be thinking that you're in pretty good position in the tournament overall.
Yes and no. I mean, I knew I was throwing a good round, but didn't want to get bogged down in what other people were doing, especially in the first round of the tournament, and knowing that there are some holes that can take almost all of the good work I've put in back immediately.
So there's hole 12. Big open shot down the hill and then to the green.
Yeah, the idea is to get a distance driver up here, pull it to the right, but okay, that's a nice little stop. If you get too far left, it cuts off your angles, but you certainly need to get probably 400 feet of power on a shot in order to have an approach.
If you haven't seen it, you've got to check out Eagle McMahon blasting the trees at the gap on this shot. Just a spectacular throw.
Yeah, it's outrageous. I'm not sure we're playing the same game if he's capable of doing that.
Jack getting a little light heckle as he gets ready to tee off.
I mean, look at the color of disc he's throwing. We are not going to help him look for that when he skies it.
He turns it over.
Yeah, that's an okay move. It didn't get all the distance he really wanted, but he should be shaped up to the gap decently.
If you want to really attack with this, throw your most stable Firebird and get it to land. You see the little stump?
Coach Fish.
Land just like that at this angle.
Yeah, think of what I could have done if I wasn't caddying for 3 other guys at the same time.
Course record. No, it was cool to watch you give some advice to the new players as Clark gets that roller down, but catches something, maybe a rock or a stump, and he'll have some work to do from there, but pretty good effort from where he was.
Yeah, no doubt. He's clogged up with a whole bunch of tree defenders in his face, so just being able to make some forward progress to the middle is a win.
Great shot from Foster. He's inside the circle. Hatchett kicks off a tree, and he'll have maybe a putt look from there.
Yeah, going to be a difficult one. It's downhill and a runaway green behind it. Going to go Challenger here. I want it to get to the right side and then flip up and, I don't know, just tap the pole on its way by.
I'm happy.
Oh, and Clark just, I don't know, maybe grip locks it. I mean, sort of an inexplicable miss there.
Yeah, inexplicable, and I think in his eyes unacceptable, given the good work he had done to put himself in position.
And Hatchett had a worse look than I thought. He catches a tree and now still has a lot of work left to do. Clark pitches out, but that's got to be frustrating because it's rolling down the hill now.
Yeah, he's got to be careful to not let the wheels fall off here. And kind of the same with Jack. Jack's going from bogey on the previous hole to now bogey. Putting for bogey from circle's edge. Jay's about to take a 6.
Christian for birdie. And again misses it right. He was in a great spot after his second shot. And the putting woes continue here.
Yeah, so I apologize to our viewers who are, used to watching every putt go in, but just like this is the context of what disc golf is. And also the mental challenge of Maple Hill, where at any time you could be adding an extra stroke, because of your own carelessness or your own anxiety, but also the course taking it from you.
And a frustrated tap in from Clark as he takes a 6. So Fish getting another birdie, making it 7 down through 12. And at this point, I'm starting to check U-disc.
Well, I don't want to hear that.
I'm just telling you. I didn't say anything during the round, but I was checking. Here we are on hole 13.
Yeah, hole 13, they say 405, but we're playing significantly downhill. This pine tree on the left as we're passing is a good aiming point, but you need to draw the disc over. Anything that gets down in this ditch is pretty puttable, but there's not a whole lot of room on the back side of the green. It's critical to have your disc moving straight for as long as you can, and then getting out of speed. If you leave it too high or too left,
This is a laser.
Oh boy, we wondered about that. It sure looked good the entire shot.
That was beautiful. Look at this shot just coming in and buzzing the basket with the Comet. That's an absolute laser beam. I wish I could throw a disc that straight.
For some reason, Christian had this rock as dialed as I had my Comet during all of our practice rounds. I don't know what it is about this hole that just like shapes nicely for that. Jay's gonna go TL here, and I know he's had a lot of trouble with his nose angle and getting this hole in particular to work out. I think he filters through on the right side. And Jack plays a hyzer flip, but it's definitely riding too far right and high.
Nice, Jack.
Best ever tee shot on this one.
So he's got a very long putt. He's going to give it a little bit of a chance here, but sails long and now has some work to do from the edge of the circle. Nice run from Sifo.
Yeah, he's in a spot where he can comfortably run that, kind of the long edge of the green behind it.
So Jack to save par. Buries it.
That's huge.
Did you slip on that putt?
No, I slipped on my landing.
So this was like when my doubts started to creep in about the score I was putting down. Like, this can't be real, right?
Yeah, did you feel some nerves on that? I mean, that's one of the shorter putts you've had to make for birdie.
Oh yeah. Part of it was that I looked up and all of a sudden there were like 12 people kind of inside the circle with me, and I wasn't expecting it. I'm usually not looking at the basket until it's time to putt. Another good view of Jack reining it in.
So 8 down, we head to hole 14.
Hole 14, the third of the truly dangerous water carries, and probably the most intimidating. It's they say 420 feet, and if you want to park the basket, it needs to be over the water almost the entire way. It's safe to bail out left, but there is kind of a minimum distance you need to get to. Otherwise, you're down a slope and into another mucky pond.
Oh, safety dance.
And
Big kick to fish range.
what I'm looking to do is bury it on the back slope where that spotter is, and then have a
50-foot spot.
30-foot putt.
Foster
What is that?
Okay, come on.
catches some leaves, but
Not too far left.
it was left enough that he's safe, but he's going to be down in the bushes.
Safe, baby. Let's go.
Clark calling for a safe shot.
Dude,
It's a turn,
get in there.
Swing harder.
This is your scholarship.
and it lands right at the basket.
Dave, Charlie cut out when I said I was playing it safe.
Highlight reel.
Safety.
So maybe wasn't looking for as much turn as he got, but it worked out perfectly.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, we just gotta yell, right?
I think that had been right about the time that there was an ace on hole 8.
And a cheer went up. Hatchett throws pretty high. It's definitely going to be safe.
So we've seen Jack have that same kind of release where it nose up and then kind of stalls. He did that on hole 3 and then a little bit on the previous hole.
Foster all the way down at the bottom of this hill with the basket probably 100 feet left. And that is a great out all the way up to the basket.
Great and inadvisable. I couldn't believe that he, A, was able to execute that, and B, would be willing to go for it. I think
So-
it kind of suckered Jack in.
To doing that.
Yeah.
The risk of that shot.
Great shot. Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't want to run that fish?
No, not at this point. I felt like I had too much to lose. In round 2, I actually make a similar putt, but at that point, I had nothing to lose.
And there's a first birdie of the day, I believe, for Jay Clark.
Yeah, that's good for him. After the struggles and then sort of misfiring on this to get it as close as he did. You got to think that
One is a
he's.
streak. One is a streak.
One is
You got to
the
think
streak.
that that's good for him.
Yeah, it's got to feel good. I mean, you can see the scorecard there. Had a brutal stretch in the front 9, but a very nice, easy birdie. And we go to hole 15.
Yeah, hole 15, we're going to get over this valley, and there's I guess there's a couple, like, sort of gaps you could go through, but the main one is almost dead straight. If your disc ends up in that valley, it's going to be a tough scramble. And then the mulch at this green plays very, very fast, and there's kind of a downslope behind it.
So Clark takes the box for the first time.
And they were going to let me hear about that, I'll tell you what.
And he throws it dead straight up the gap. It skips and stays inside of that log, so he's inside circle 1 with another great look for birdie.
Yeah, really strong TL shot there. Love the confidence. At this point, whatever else happens, he's at least able to salvage something out of this round.
And maybe for the first time all round, you get a bad tree kick.
Yeah, I think I realized later in this tournament that I was trying to play a flip-up Comet and at the edge of my power range, which is maybe a little too cute for this hole. So I like that these guys are taking a fairway driver and just trying to jam it. And then at least holding it straight as long as they can.
A bit high from Hatchett. He's perfectly fine over there, but it's going to be a difficult putt. That's got a little bit of an ultimate frisbee look to it, that throw. When you step forward with the hyzer.
Yeah, before I threw that, I told everyone that any other card, people would be impressed by it.
Foster lays up and taps in. So we'll see if Hatchett wants to run this one. Well, kind of worst of both worlds there.
Yeah, absolutely. You could tell there was some hesitation, some tentativity there.
And Clark makes it back-to-back birds. So 2 is a streak now.
Two is a streak, indeed.
For par. Buries it. He likes to make those comebackers.
Yeah, what do we need to do? Just like put the pressure on everything?
Par for fish.
Yeah, buddy.
And moving forward with a clean sheet. 8 under through 15. And starting to look like you might have one of the best rounds of the day. I mean, maybe at this point that's already guaranteed, but there was somebody in the clubhouse at this point, I think, at 8 under. So it's a question of whether you could get better than that. Maybe 7.
Kyle Klein had come in with the first card of the day at 7. So again, I'm trying not to think about the score. 16 and 17, I feel like there's not a whole lot that can go super wrong, but 18, you need to have in the back of your mind. 16, if you haven't seen Kevin Jones' ace on this yet, go watch it. Idea is to draw a driver over, either to the right or moving right within the straight gap, as Jay does that nicely.
It sounded like he hit a tree, and it still ended up looking really good.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
The fact that Kevin Jones birdied this or aced this, is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to appreciate maybe if you haven't stood on the tee and seen what the shot looks like 530 feet through the trees.
Until this tournament, I don't think I had ever birdied it. So hearing of somebody acing it just feels like a real slap to my ego to think I'm good at disc golf and can't birdie it. Oh.
And a brutal kick for Jack as it shoots out way left, and here he is for his second shot. He's got a window.
Yeah, he managed to stay safe there and gets up toward pin high. I will say, Charlie, I think it was on this hole that I noticed that one of the DGPT live feed cameras was following us.
That's right.
So that started to make it a little bit more real that, oh, I am throwing a heater here.
Do you check the scorecard during the round?
Occasionally I do, but I try not to because I don't want to get caught counting. That feels like, certainly in the first round, that feels like a mistake of like inviting expectations instead of just performing my best on each hole.
Foster with the long birdie putt from circle 2. Doesn't really give it a chance, but easy par.
Whoa.
Just way high. Comebacker, no problem, though.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is there. Maybe headwind, tailwind, or something.
Take whatever I can get, baby.
And some drop-ins. So, keeping the clean sheet going.
That'll move us on to hole 17. That naturally follows 16. Idea here, get out the gap, carry over top of this bunch of Christmas trees, and ideally move right, but it's not a critical sin if you just kind of hold straight. Turning too far right takes the gap out of play, or carrying, I don't know, 550 feet. There are some players who are trying to punch down this gap and get towards circle 2. There is an elevated basket that's on a ledge. And I think that's a good move because altogether, this is a short, very attainable par 4.
Clark still on the box.
Great disc choice.
And is in the light rough on the right-hand side.
Yeah, frames himself up in the gap nicely. Vulture hyzer flip. And just kind of on the right edge of the gap. I'll need to finesse something.
Sifo.
Look at the rotation on this. Like, it's so much more spin. And once he figures out how to, like, really leverage his lower body, he's going to throw so dang far. Jack swoops a hyzer a little bit. He gets to the drift right, but then ends up fading out. But even that's not terrible. He'll have an opportunity.
And here he is. Looking straight into the gap. And catches a tree. Maybe he gets a little bit of a trickle roll. Clark with the low backhand and skids up to close to the edge of the circle.
Yeah, that's a little bit unforgivable because he was throwing a mid-range, trying to throw it soft, but you don't want to leave yourself at 40 feet on this basket.
And that's a friendly roll.
Yeah, that's not terrible. Now he'll be looking back up at the basket, which feels a little less imposing than seeing nothing behind it.
And this skids and just slides off the back of the rocks, but short putt from there. Hatchett lays up.
Yeah, that's responsible. And Jay's in a position where he probably has to go for this.
Just off the top of the cage. And again, it's got to be frustrating given that he was in a great position for his upshot and then left it short. Here's Foster for birdie. And another missed putt to the right-hand side.
Yeah, you hear the frustration. And now he's going to not think about it.
And a birdie for Andrew Fish. Clark takes a par. And Hatchett here will close it out.
All right, so one birdie, 3 pars. That's not bad on that hole. Going into 18 is an incredible finishing hole. We're not really going to be able to see it, but in normal years, there's a big gallery of folks at the green who are taking bets and making jokes and cheering everything that happens, bad or good. You're going to start kind of in a bowl. You need to get up near this bridge, maybe a little bit past. There's OB rope lining the left side and an OB rock wall to the right and long. And the green itself plays as a very thin island that's difficult to access from a lot of angles.
Beautiful hole. Great finisher, just like we got the great starting hole. And here you are. First shot coming out straight to the bridge.
That's very much not an attacking shot. That's a go get a 4 kind of shot.
After the round that you've had so far, I don't think anybody would blame you for that.
No, and really the distance here is a challenge, but the second shot is not something that shapes up well for me, and it really wasn't in my game plan to go for this unless there was like a late end of round scenario where I was chasing somebody and really needed an extra stroke.
Right. Here's Hatchett.
Again, getting it very high. That'll fade out to the left side, but that's an okay spot, I think.
short of the OB over there.
Easy peasy.
So just looking to set up your third shot to the green.
Yeah, big fan of that. We haven't seen Jack do many forehands. It's kind of all arm, but he's got a lot of pop on it, as we see there.
He'll be in a good spot to get a par as well. Clark with the big hyzer backhand.
Interesting that we all go kind of hyzers, and Christian's going to throw a putter.
And it just ever so slightly slides out of bounds. You can see the rope there on the ground.
I admire the spotter's empathy there. This was not a run. This was a bad release.
Yikes. But you're good on the green. You know, I want to ask you as everybody pitches up to the green here, you know, people often say that it's an advantage to be on a card with a bunch of other really good players, you know, sort of pushing for maximum performance. You kind of got the opposite of that here. Do you find that it was an, you know, do you think that's true? Is it a negative to be on a card with players who are shooting, you know, in some cases 20 strokes worse than you?
Well, you know, I saw on Twitter that some people were just like dogging this card when I posted it without explaining that like I knew all these guys well. I've never felt like it matters that much. What matters more to me is what the flavor of the card is like. Like, I'd rather play on a card like this where everybody's friendly and encouraging than, you know, on that lead card, even if it is kind of my main competition, where it's just, a brutal spit out to finish, where it's just like dead silent and everybody's just kind of in their own minds.
Mm-hmm. So bogey for Sifo. Clark had his putt spit out. He takes a bogey as well. Jack Hatchett gets his par. And that puts, after round one, Andrew Fish at the top of the leaderboard by 2 strokes with a 9 under 51. And a bogey-free round, one of just 3 on the weekend. Hell of a round, Andrew.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks, Charlie, for coming out and filming. I'm glad you got to see it because the rest of my weekend was kind of lackluster. I ended up finishing 12th. I'm thrilled with that. All 3 of the other guys got good experience out of this. They shot some better rounds coming back. And maybe this is an annual Ultiworld disc golf tradition.
Maybe so. We'll see. I mean, maybe we'll shoot some more coverage in the future. This is a lot of fun for us, and certainly look forward to getting your feedback on this round or what we should do in the future. So let us know. So that brings us to the end of round 1 here on the feature card. Andrew Fish, 9 under. Christian Foster coming in at 5 over. Jack Hatchett at 10 over. And Jay Clark at 11 over. Andrew Fish, thank you so much for joining me. I'm Charlie Eisenhood with Ultiworld Disc Golf. This was the round 1 of the MVP Open, presented by MVP Disc Sports. Thank you so much to the Disc Golf Pro Tour, Gatekeeper Media, Jeff Spring, MVP, and everybody that made this possible. Fish, thanks so much.
Thanks, Charlie. I appreciate the opportunity. And again, like he said, please leave your support, leave your comments, and help out Ultiworld. They're doing great work for all of disc golf.
Until next time, I'm Charlie Eisenhood signing off for Ultiworld Disc Golf's coverage here at the MVP Open.